Welcome everybody. This is Todd McFarlane again, coming at you to see if I can give you a couple easy pointers on how to draw certain aspects of the body and the world a little bit easier. This is lesson number 2, and earlier in the year on Twitter I posted this page right here. This is how to draw eyes, and I wanted to actually do a video of it because again I can explain some of the rationale behind it as we move. And in the past I try to give you the notes on it, but let's just see if we can work in there. Obviously the biggest piece of this puzzle is this eye is way too simple and this eye is way more natural, and so the question will be, how do we actually get to that state? So let's just move that out of the way. I'll move it down here, and let's just start with our new one. Here's the problem that most people have, and it sort of goes back to when we're in elementary school. We have a tendency to sort of just draw the eye as sort of a big moon, and then we come in there and we'll do a pupil in the middle of it, and then we're taught very early by sort of bad grade 1 and 2 art teachers that the eye is a football, and we come in here, and none of this actually works. I mean, it's better than making circles for the eyes, but here's the problem that we have here. A couple of things. Number one, the eye isn't really a football. Number two, most people, when they draw the eye, they don't give any added weight up above and below up here. So I'm going to go and do another layer and show you what I'm talking about. So this eye could be transformed fairly quickly into what I would call a natural looking eye. The first thing we have to do is we have to close the eyelid. Let's just get there. If you look at most people's faces, rarely will you see any whites of a person's eye above and below the eyeball. It just doesn't happen. I mean, maybe if you're surprised, you know, again, there's the possibility of that all of a sudden, you know, here's my eyebrow going, and it, you know, somebody scared you, and you can see it, but that's not how a natural eye is going to be. So what we're going to do is we're going to see if we can't get there a little bit easier. So we'll get the dots out of the way, and we'll start here. First thing we need to do is relax the eyelid. Again, just the best teaching device in the world is just looking at reality. So you'll notice then that people have a little bit of a tear duct in here. That's where the tears come. And then it comes up in here, and then our eyebrow, or our eyelid, actually intersects the circle. So there is no space up above. It goes here. And we get it there. So that's a very, very crucial piece of what we have to do. So now let's eliminate what we had up above here, and that goes away. Okay, so now we have a piece that is gone and allows us to have a relaxed eye. The second piece of what we need to do is we have a tendency to not want to give weight to the upper eye, and the upper eye has to have more weight on it, and I'll show you real quickly why. Because this is a folding of skin up in here. And I'm doing a male eye, and we'll get to a female eye either in this lesson or in another one. But you have to do it. You have to give it weight. And here's why you have to give it weight. If I now go here and do it, let's look at a profile of a person's face. A person's face is, they have their forehead, and then it comes in. Here's where your eye is at, and here's where your nose is at. And I'll blow that up so you can see that. And then you have an eyelid here. So here's the problem. If there is sunshine coming from the sky, you have a natural sort of barrier getting into your eye. The eye is offset. The eye is in here. It's moved in. It's not sticking out. So the eye is naturally darker and will cast shadows in certain spots by the mere fact that your forehead is ahead of your eye. All you have to do is look at anybody's profile, and you'll see that. So again, we just need to be cognizant of that, and that will be relevant when, and I'll keep that up there as we continue to draw. Now, since that's true, since there's going to be a forehead up here, it's going to be cast in the shadow, the second thing that we want to do is actually put that shadow cast. One of the things that they don't do, look at eyes in animation, is that this eye always wants to stay wide open. I'm not a believer in it. I believe that since your forehead is casting and your eyelid is casting a bit of a shadow, you must add that to the eye. So all you need to do is take about a fifth of the top of the eye and just put a little bit of a shadow there, and it will create instantly the illusion that the eye is now inset into the socket, and oh, by the way, there's a lid that's up here and it's going to be there. Now next that you want to do is go, we have highlights that will reflect off our eye. Take a look at anybody's eye and you're going to see that there are reflections on there. So if you give like a little one on one side and maybe a big one just like up over here, then you can get to it. And then if you actually look at a person's eye, and we'll go a little bit bigger so everybody can see it, we have these sort of lines in there that go like this, and they sort of get darker as you sort of get towards the center of the line of the eye, or they get darker as you get to the edge of it. So again, I recommend you put some sort of cool little lines in here. Make sure they are very thin, because you don't want to compete those lines and that thickness to compete with the thickness that you're having with the rest of your eyes. So now we have an eye that has a little bit of form in there, and again, you can put a couple of lines in here because here's your tear duct up in here. This, like I said, is a bad line right here because actually your eye is a little more relaxed. Matter of fact, most people, again, you intersect top and bottom. So if we get rid of this line here, then we'll relax the eye even more. And then it will allow us then, this would be the right eye of a person, because here would be the bridge of his nose up over here. And then you're going to have a little bit of a bag underneath here, depending on how old you are. You know, a couple little lines here. If you get a little bit older, you have crow's feet that are up in here. There's a natural tendency to, let's see. There's my shadow right there. So there's a natural tendency to, you know, again, you've got your eyelid that's folded up in here. And then the corners sort of come down a little bit more. Again, trying to get away. We're trying to get away a little bit from the football. Again, in its simplest form, I would say that what you would like to do is, you know, an eye that sort of is a little bit sort of flat at the bottom and sort of looks a little bit like a hat, so that you can then put your eye in there like that, less than a football, if you will. So try to angle and make your eye a little bit irregular so that you can get there. And then again, like I said, there'd be wrinkles in the sides of the eye there. The nose would come down up in here. And you can see just with making a few adjustments like that, that eye looks a lot more natural. And this should go down just a little bit more. And this can come up. This looks a lot more natural, although not perfect. Again, the tear duct and the point of this should be on an even plane, but I was starting with a bad drawing. But again, if you take a look and I get rid of everything here, let me get rid of, there's our eye that we started with initially, right here. And as you can see, by starting with this eye, and let me get rid of the dots, I didn't draw a new eye. Unlike this drawing here, where I actually drew an extra eye, this one I actually started with the bad eye, and I just added, I added a couple components there that would just get me to this place here, so that now, as you can see, using the same eyes, the same circle, I can go from a surprise, which is a bad eye, to relaxed eye. And when I go here, you can see it's the same thing. I give the extra weight up on this eye here compared to this, which is the same line, top, bottom, and the circle. It's all what we call dead weight. And here's the shadow up in here. Here's the highlight up in here. Here's the tear duct up in here. Staying away from the football. Again, you got a little bit of a curve, and then it goes up, over, down, almost like a hat, the profile of a hat. And again, we were able to accomplish that very quickly. 1, 2, 1, 2. So if you guys remember a few of those rules and flop it to the other side, you will have two eyes. Now, before I go, let me just give you a very basic rule, and the rule is that the spacing on a head, when you place the eyes, is that one eye that you set into a person's face and another eye that you then set over here. Here's the ears. There we go. Let's just get this bigger. That when you draw a person's eyes, make sure that the distance between each eye is an eye. So for instance, and this will be the last thing for today, as you can see, here's the width of an eye, here's the width of an eye, and the space in between should be the width of one eye. So from here to here should be 3 eyes. It should be eye, space of an eye, eye. And that's how you get the distance when you're actually drawing on a real face. Don't get it too far apart, don't get it too close together. Make sure that each one of those is the same. 1, 2, 3. Divide it into 3, and that's where you'll have it. So, thank you very much, and I appreciate you guys checking in on this today.